Going to watch Superman Legacy with my mom for the second time was such an awesome experience because it allowed for me to see the movie from a whole new perspective and appreciate it for a bunch of new reasons. We'll just get it out the way again. The crypto scenes, they steal the movie. I'm a sucker for dogs. I love dogs more than anything on this planet. I didn't think I could love crypto more than I had the first time I saw the movie. Even the second time when I knew what was going to happen, my anxiety was still through the roof because I just wanted him to get that dog. James Gunn is absolutely brilliant in creating these CGI characters that we just fall in love with. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was amazing. I cried my eyes out numerous times.
You're gonna be okay.
It really makes you appreciate the world building that James Gunn is doing here. He knows what it's like to look back at the beginning of a saga, a cinematic universe, and think, oh, I wish I would have done this, or I wish I could go back and have more of these types of scenes. And that's why movies like this are so good, because it's not exactly a comfort movie, but it's one of those movies where in 5-10 years you'll be able to look back and watch and just appreciate it, because at that present time you're going to be getting movies that are now extremely hectic and chaotic versus the original ones where everything was calm and just peaceful, and it just felt nice to experience that world. And that's what brings me to the scene with Lois and Superman talking about their fight and the dog, and it has the Justice League in the background fighting the interdimensional imp. There are so many elements to that scene that I appreciate so much. One, obviously, being how he just shows how much he cares for that dog, how he was out looking for it all day. But on top of that, you have Superman telling Lois that he loves her for the first time, and you can just tell that Clark, Superman, is going through so much turmoil right now internally that he just, when you're in those moments, you just want to be close to the people that you care for the most, and you recognize how much you appreciate them, and you see in that moment just how much Superman Clark Kent realizes how much he loves Lois Lane, because think about really how alone he feels. He is an alien. There's like 3 or 4 people, well, depending on I guess how many people he's told, we'll find out, that only know who he really is. And I'll be honest, I cried in this scene. The coupling of him and just how much he cared about that dog, with him expressing his love and pain to Lois, it just felt like such a great way to show us who really, was behind the cape. And I mean, I cried. I've cried twice now in the movie theater. I'm a man. I mean, I am, but we cry. We cry. For him, their relationship is so unique because she's probably the only person who knows who he is, who isn't of the cloth. And for her, it's so unique because she's dating the most powerful meta-human ever. Which, as I'm saying this, it makes me realize how many times in this movie they talk about how he tells too many people. So I think it's very clear that his identity is going to come out eventually. Which then makes you realize Lois Lane is going to be in some serious trouble in these future movies. Also, his parents, who are extremely lovable, these amazing characters, are going to be in mad danger if it comes out as well. Which, now that again, as I'm thinking about this, James Gunn is giving us characters like Crypto, Clark Kent's parents, who are just these amazingly heartwarming characters. And when you do that in writing, storytelling, you're building that up to take it away. But we're not going to talk about the pain that's awaiting us. One little micro scene from the time that he's at his parents is when his dad just kind of brushes him aside to sit down next to him on the swing on the bench outside. And I just love that the most powerful being in the universe, or next to, is just told by this old man just to move over, and how just quickly it was. I love that, just that respect right there, which is then followed up by one of the most loving looks I've ever seen a character give another character, let alone a son, his father, when he just grabs his dad and looks at him. It's so heartwarming. Drink your coffee. I really couldn't pick a specific scene when it came to the Justice Gang. I really felt like from top to bottom they did a great job. We'll start with Mr. Terrific. He's not just my favorite out of the Justice Gang. He might be my favorite character out of the entire movie. The way he delivers his lines, his presence, the way he's tough, super intelligent, but also the way he tries to get away from the kaiju and he's like screaming help, help. And then, when the dog barks at him, it's just, they're able to just show so many layers of his character, but at the same time, it never takes away from another aspect or element of him. His line at the end of the movie when they try and help him with the computer and he just says, I'm Mr. Terrific. One thing I've loved about movies this summer, from Jurassic Park to F1 to this movie, is that they're not taking away from other characters to build up their main characters. You've seen this trend of main characters being built up by them taking away from a secondary character who represents whatever groups the writers want to just dog on. But these films, they seem to be breaking from that mold, and it's such relief because movies that are just focused on the story are so much better than movies that are crafted around a message. It's all about focus. Which then brings me to Hot Girl, which I think she did a great job with the material she was given. There's something to be said about the difficulty in writing a character around a person who screams out a bird sound and has wings. Like, I get it, right? But her personality and the way she presents that character, I love. I love her. I love the actress. It's just the superhuman itself isn't the most appealing. But I'm assuming they'll get better at finding ways to have her character translate to the big screen. Because again, at the end of the movie, her down that hallway, just that wasn't exactly it. However, in that same sequence, we get the Green Lantern, who then completes a complete character arc, which is so awesome to see. And the Green Lantern in this movie is played so well. His comedic relief is 12 out of 10. The way he's able to express his train of thought when Lois asks him if he really believes that Superman is bad, and he's like, well, no, do I really believe? He's probably not, but at the same time, like, can I risk it? Her quarreling with the Green Lantern over the name of their team is absolutely hilarious. Their chemistry is perfect. You can tell these characters, these actors, actresses, they really enjoy being around one another. And the haircut joke is, it's money. One thing that hit me during this movie was the fact that the Justice Gang is probably going to turn into the Justice League. We're probably seeing the very foundation as to what we'll see in the future being built right now, and that's kind of a cool thought. Which then leads me to probably the most overlooked aspect of this whole movie, and it's a 2-second scene at the end of the movie where the two US government official agents say to one another that basically, well, metahumans now control foreign policy, and I think that's going to signal the United States government not really backing down, and maybe not even really fully not supporting Lex Luthor anymore, but then realizing, uh-oh, we might have to get the upper hand back. And maybe this movie isn't just about how Superman lost his first battle and what happened after, but this was the moment in history when the metahumans fully took control. Think about just how scary that would be. Did you notice how Lex Luthor got into a military vehicle at the end and not a police car in cuffs? It's because the United States government is not just going to throw him away as an asset. That's what's so crazy about geopolitics and just the whole world in itself, because while your enemy might be your enemy, if your enemy is the enemy of your enemy, they become your friend until they're no longer your friend and their enemy. Like, it's so complicated. Which I wanted to touch on Lex Luthor one more time. He just makes this movie so much tonally dark than it would be without him. The executions, that's insane. The way the Bulgarian president is laughing, the way they use that beloved character, the way he responds and not even recognizing what was going to happen, to Superman's reaction and him screaming to the guy that could change elements, to his reaction, how that really pushes the entire story forward. If you notice in these stories, the antagonist usually does something to upset one of their allies that ends up turning on them, and that creates the weakness that allows the good guys to win. And that's why, to me, good usually wins, because evil inherently just eats itself. And let me just say, I didn't notice the line where the girl in the alley tells Jimmy that he tortured the dog. When I heard that, bro, I was ready to throw hands with Lex Luthor, and I'm not even in the movie. I know it's not real, but Nicholas Hoult, man, you better adopt a few dogs, because you put that energy out in the world, bro. No, I'm kidding. Nicholas Hoult, fantastic job. Holy crap, I could talk about this movie forever. We're almost done. Let's see us drink your water. Olsen, Jimmy, you were fantastic. You made me laugh the way that you were supposed to be this heartthrobbish, like this like little guy. You just did such a good job. And that smile Jimmy gives after she jumps into his arms and says they can be together again. I love that, because it gave him another dimension and made him not look like such a horrible person. Because let's be real, if he did all that just to get a story, that's a little sociopathic and that's a little Lex Luthor vibes. Oh my gosh, she's attracted to Lex Luthor and Jimmy, which means they're probably similar. Oh wow, is Jimmy the future baddie, dude? Everything this movie introduces somehow later pushes the story forward, and I love that. There are character arcs in this movie. Secondary characters actually logically push the movie forward. And while the writing isn't perfect, there really is a lot to like. Now, one missed opportunity to me was the fact that they didn't use Henry Cavill as being Ultraman. You cannot tell me, even with the rumors going around swirling, it still would have blown our minds if that mask came off, which, mind you, I really thought it was Henry Cavill at first, by the way. They eerily look alike. Now, could you imagine how crazy everyone would have gone if that happened? But not only that, it would have worked out in Henry Cavill's favor, because he would have been able to say, yeah, this entire time I was Superman again. That whole video I put on Instagram and announced my comeback, that was all part of the plan to create this whole new universe. When it comes to the politics of this movie, the first time I saw it, I felt like I was the only person who saw the politics in it. So I was like, okay, maybe I'm overlooking things. And then I saw it the second time and I'm verified. While the movie is very political because it does relate to a lot of things that exist right now, it is ideological based, and that's what makes good stories, right? Ideologies, not politics. Politics are modern day issues that are happening because of different ideologies. Focus on the ideologies because they will always be a part of time. Video for another time, video for another time. But if you think about it, Superman is inherently political because someone of his power would he would have no choice but to get involved in the geopolitics. And the reality is his decisions and whatever he chose to back would typically come out on top, so it would most certainly come into play. And finally, I have to end with the thought that since this is a universe that's existed for 300 years of having, metahumans around, no one would live in cities at that point. Metropolis would have never been built. I used to always say in Avengers, after that first time Loki invaded in New York, everyone would have been gone because you knew that another one was coming. Insurance companies would have absolutely gone bankrupt trying to rebuild those cities in New York, and that means no one would have come back. And that's an interesting thought to think about. What would the world be like if metahumans early on just developed a reputation of destroying massive cities because that's where the bad guys would always go to create the most harm, and then people just figured out we gotta just live out in the rurals forever. Just a random thought I had after seeing another city just get leveled in one of these movies, and also makes you wonder, are they gonna address what happened in this city after this movie? How many buildings got toppled? But again, they should be used to this, so I'm assuming the insurance policies do exist, and maybe the technology there, they've figured out how to build things really quick. You're not just putting those buildings back together. Those buildings are all gonna have to get demolished. Those areas are gonna have to be cleaned out. Then all new materials have to be brought back in. Then you have to rebuild everything. Now, there was the old Superman 4 movie, I think it was, where he was able to just rebuild things with his lasers at that point. And I think maybe that was their way of addressing the future conversations about Superman's destroying everything. How do they rebuild it? All right, that's enough yapping for today. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are about my thoughts. What are your thoughts on the movie? Let me know in the comments, maybe some perspectives you've thought about that maybe no one else has. Do you think this movie was better than Man of Steel? Was it better than the Chris Reeves introductory movie? As I said earlier in the video, I just subscribed to the Regal Unlimited movie plan, so I will be dropping all kinds of new movie material coming soon, so hit that subscription button. As always, go out there and do something great.